crutch. So once again, those who are listening to our podcast will be wondering what the hell's going on. But for those who have seen the video, Jill, you have a crutch here.
I do.
Why
Benjamin.
do you have a crutch apart from being an attention seeker?
Because last night I played netball in Oxford, and in the third quarter, one leg went one way and the other leg went the other way on skiddy concrete, and I inappropriately did the splits, which those of you, given our topic of the week later, will know that choreography-wise, I don't do the splits.
No.
So what did happen is I have ripped my hamstring.
Well, that's rip. As well as a pair of underwear, I imagine.
Yes, and so it's very painful. I would go as far, Ben, as to say more painful than giving birth.
Really?
Yes.
Wow.
Yes.
My
lovely friends at my new job.
And you've got quite tall children.
I've got quite tall children.
So that's
they weren't that tall when they came out.
Oh, well, they're not like 5-6 foot. I don't know how birth works, I'm afraid.
Good.
I'm a man.
I'm quite right too.
Yes, absolutely.
Quite right. Anyway, so yes, I'm in quite a bit of pain.
Oh dear.
And here I am at rehearsal. We're actually at rehearsal tonight, so if you hear any strange noises in the background, it's rehearsal going on in the other room. And all I'm doing is sitting on a chair, singing. But at least I'm here, hey?
At least you're here.
I'm here.
You're here in a time when there seems to be...
body.
Especially at a time when there seems to be a lot of illness going around in the amateur theatre world.
Yes. Benjamin, you're a little bit
croaky. I feel bad being close to you, Jill, but let's be honest, it can't get much worse for you, can it, Jill?
What you've got, I've got. How's it going, Ben? Because our previous podcast, we were talking about your school show week this week.
Yes, so it's still currently school show week. When this comes out, hopefully I'll have time to edit it this week. When this comes out, it will be like opening day, effectively. So yeah, so we had our get-in on Sunday, which was crazy and full on, but it looks really, really good. Very, very happy with how it looks. Then we've had rehearsals pretty much every day. I came pretty much from a rehearsal to here, so it's all that piecing it together, getting a little bit stressed, of course.
I say, Ben, you've not directed properly if you end up with a voice at the end of the
No,
week.
exactly.
No.
Exactly, so it's fine. It's not genuinely not because I'm having to shout too much, because they're lovely. It's just typical, isn't it? And it seems to affect it. It's affected quite a few of our cast. We're like a third of the cast down. A lot of illness going around. Luckily,
not too much covered.
And luckily, not too much COVID.
Yeah.
That's definitely the case. So it's but that's going to be the effect, especially Christmas and winter time. It's always the problem with doing like a pantomime, isn't it? Isn't it?
I'm going to, because we've got our body kit show in a couple of weeks.
Yes.
Where I am normally a kind of backstage manager.
Yeah.
And I've got to work out whether I'll be on my feet and able to move scenery around. But
that's going to be tricky.
Oh yes, you are coming to help, aren't you?
Oh, come and help.
I'll sit on the chair and do the torch.
And you're just going to tell me what to do?
I could turn the reds.
Are you just going to boss me around
and then I'll just boss you around and tell you what to do.
Great.
You'll enjoy that.
All right. I'll be there, I'm sure. Aren't I a good friend?
Aren't you? Lovely. So
shall we go into it?
Let's go into it.
Let's talk about our topic of the week.
Topic of the week. Topic of the week of the week. It's not got any better with the injury, is it?
I was going to say, no, it hasn't. I'm glad you said that. That's the one we wrote. Actually, I quite liked it. The one time you criticised yourself. So, today we're talking about dance in amateur theatre, and we're talking about what it's like to choreograph maybe different groups, different abilities, different ages is the other thing. And, what that experience is like. Because I think that I think a lot of people from sort of amateur theatre that I've done, you either usually have those that are really good dancers because they go to dance schools and can dance all their lives, and you have those ones that perhaps struggle more. You do have some in the middle. I would say I'm more in the middle most of the time. But I think it's... some people find it a real challenge. And it's the thing I often find when I'm choreographing for a group, or even if I'm just performing with a group, the one thing that we're like, oh God, we're going to have to go over that again, is the choreography.
Yeah.
Often the singing's okay,
but
the choreography takes time. What do you think?
No, absolutely, and it's making it so that it works for the people who can really do it, but it doesn't leave the people who can't do it as well too far behind. And I know some groups go for the kind of here's the dance team, and then just like a few people in fancy silvery frocks roll on. I mean, they don't normally roll on, but
just teddy bear roll
on. And that's fine, and that's one way to overcome that. But we've always tried in our groups to make sure everybody's moving and trying to have something to do. But there are times when you do, you know, I know in one of the numbers we're doing at Bodycut, we've got a tap break, and there is no point teaching the people who can't tap to tap. You just bring a little group into the middle and do a tap break. So there's a bit of both goes on, isn't there? I think
it's good to have a dance. Sorry.
Can I just say?
Go on.
This week on the Facebook, you know the Facebook.
Yes.
It did a memory of 8 years ago, and I think I wrote this Facebook message that says, "You know you've had a good night of a show when you wake up with a blood injury." And it was that the Irish dance or the black and white legs? Well, I actually went over and cut myself.
I saw the picture of the black and white dance, which is where we were in costumes that not face, but in terms of here, we were like half of it was white, half of it was black. So when you were in together,
the legs were the other way
if you lifted the legs, it tricked you. It was like an illusion, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Tricked your eyes into thinking that someone else was being lifted. It's very clever. I think there's a few versions on YouTube.
Yeah, but I think it was the river dance one when I went over.
When we did a spoof river dance, and you literally went arse over tear.
Yeah.
I do remember, and I had to drag you off stage.
Yeah. Yeah,
I mean, that was fun. That's why Gill doesn't tend to do that. But luckily, you didn't end up on a crutch for
I
that
didn't
one.
that time, no.
But
if I can string this out, I can see the Sheriff of Nottingham having a kind of aged crutch.
I was going to say an aged crutch.
Yeah, we could get an aged crutch from him. Or even a bath chair.
Oh, God. Just have you wheeled on?
Yeah, on a commode.
On a commode. Oh, God. But yeah, as I was saying, I going back to what we were saying previously, I agree with you. I think it's nice to have a dance team, I think, because it's important to challenge them, and it's important for them to feel like they're not just doing, you know, a step click when they know they're better than that, because they want to be challenged and get to show off a bit, as we all do. But I think I don't like going to watch amateur shows, if I'm honest, where you can just tell they've gone, okay, you're going to sing this bit, and then you're all going to go and stand at the back and smile and watch as a dance team does it. That's okay for some numbers, don't get me wrong. Like, there's certain numbers where they add a bit of character, they add a bit of atmosphere. But when I have seen shows where I'm not naming any names, I can't think of any specific, to be honest, but I know I've seen them, where I just go, oh, once again, they're going to have to go and stand at the side. Yeah. And I just think it's really unfair, because I did feel like it's, like, people haven't tried. And I know that, like, when I've choreographed for adult groups, and there are, you know, old people in there, you know, pensioners as well, they've been doing it for quite a while, and yes, they may struggle a bit more, but they've got rhythm, they know music, they might have used to be able to dance really well.
Yeah, yeah.
So for some people to maybe just go, oh, well, you just go and step clap at the back, I think is really unfair, and I would feel really disheartened. At the end of the day, we're all going to get older, Jill. Some of us quicker than others, and sooner than others, of course. But you know, if we were a bit older, and you know we were still part of this group, and some of the younger ones had taken over, and we were told, "Oh, just go and stand at the back," you'd feel a little bit like,
I'd actually please.
You're already.
I find it very.
This is why you've purposefully injured yourself.
That is. I mean, it is interesting that it is also useful to give people a choice, because there was a number that we're doing in our panto that Amelia said this one's a bit more complex, and I started to learn it, and I genuinely thought I'll struggle with this, and so we talked about the character and said, could I be doing something different to the side?
Worked out a fun thing
to do it. So I'm in the number, but not doing the complex dance.
And that's interesting, isn't it? I think that's important. I think that communication. I think, you know, communicating with, you know, what do you feel comfortable with doing?
Yeah.
Because equally, some dancers who are really good at dancing will be like, I can't sing though. You know, I know a few of those. I know there's a few of those in our group who are probably more dancery than singing. So, you know, if we're expecting them to sing, do we expect them to dance? You know, I think it's a conversation of what is your abilities. Because at the end of the day, with amateur theatre, yes, it's about putting on a good show for our audience, but we do it because it's a hobby.
Yeah,
and if you're there going, I'm really hating this, I'm really feeling so much pressure, I'm feeling really awkward and embarrassed because I don't know this, why would you want to carry it on?
Exactly.
And I think actually it's important for amateur theatre to remember that sometimes, you know.
Benjamina?
Yes.
What has been your favourite thing that you've ever choreographed?
Oh God. I don't know actually. I've choreographed a few bits and pieces. Oh, I do know which one is my favourite to choreograph. I really enjoyed choreographing Sister Act. So Sister Act. So when I choreograph, I I don't see myself as like, oh my god, I'm this amazing choreographer. I'm definitely a director above a choreographer. And I think, there's only certain shows I would choreograph. And Sister Act, when I knew that one of the groups was doing Sister Act, I knew I wanted to choreograph it because it's a real character piece. There's some great dances where we get to show off a bit, and I think I did those quite well, choreographed those all right. But the nuns and the character that's in the whole point is these over the top nuns doing these really funny comedic moves. I know I'm good at that. The comedy characters, that's sort of my thing.
Fits, yeah.
So I knew I could do that really well. And
if the habit fits, wear it.
Absolutely, what a wonderful phrase. So I really enjoyed choreographing Sister Act because it was big. It was a big show to do, and I've ended up choreographing it twice. Because I directing and choreographing once. Obviously, did it twice. I think we've talked about it. We talked about it a couple of weeks ago when we talked about show repeats, didn't we? And actually, in the school show, one of the numbers is the finale from Sister Act. So I was able to update and refresh some of the choreography. But interestingly, and that's funny, so we ran the show today. And that number, I think, and I said it through my headset to my colleague who was backstage, I said, they love this number. None of them knew it before we did it. None of them knew it at all. But for some reason, it's the most infectious number. One, it's a really great song.
Yeah.
But you can tell they're loving the choreography. And that's not meant to be like because I'm an amazing choreographer. But because I think
definitely works.
And they're all involved.
Yeah.
And it tests those who want to be pushed a bit more. But it's accessible for everyone, and that's what's important, isn't it?
Very good.
Yeah.
I only dabble with the choreography. I call it choreography on the spot, where I do movement rather than choreography. So I wouldn't ever say I've set a dance, but if there's a number that needs some movement around the stage or a tiny dance break, I can sort that out. I'm on it.
Yeah, and that's great.
But it is about making sure when you put your team together for any show that you've thought through how complex is the dancing in this.
Yeah.
Is it something that someone who can just do movement could set, or is it something where we really need to bring in a really strong choreographer to sort it out?
And that's really interesting, isn't it? Because what people, if they're looking for choreographers, because I know it's difficult to find choreographers, what people who are looking for choreographers have to remember is that just because one choreographer is good at something does not mean they're good at other styles. Some are amazing at everything, of course, but there's going to be some choreographers that will go, that's not my sort of thing. There's no point doing 42nd Street if you get a choreographer who can't do tap. What's the point? If you did, for example, In the Heights, you may have someone who's the most amazing ballroom dancer. Well, if they're doing street dance, sometimes there's a crossover, but they might not be able to do that. Yeah, so I think and that's a good tip, I think, for committees and people who are looking for choreographers. Don't just go, there's a choreographer, we know that person likes to choreograph. Actually, really think about the show, and yes, it might be more work, yes, you may not have the luxury of that, but if you want the show to succeed, you've got to put that effort in.
Really good thing.
I think even, just as important as find the right director, you've got to find the right choreographer. Really have to find the right choreographer. Know the show, know what the musical numbers are.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Shall we get a guest on?
I feel like we've really imparted some wisdom here, Jill.
Stop it.
It's
the crutch.
It's the crutch. It's taken 3 seasons, but I feel like that was a really useful
Now that I can no longer move, I've got some good wisdom about moving to impart.
I was going to say, a bit hypocritical, there.
I could try walking for the podcast. Anyone watching wants to see
I was going to say, for watching, again, not great content for a podcast.
Apart from hearing me wince.
Oh, yeah, exactly. Let's welcome our special guest.
Let's welcome indeed.
So our special guest is experienced at choreographing loads, but she's only quite young. She's only early 20s, Jill.
Bless her.
I can't remember exactly how old she is, and I don't want to offend her. She's only early 20s, but she's choreographed for us at ATC. She's choreographed for you at Bodicott Youth. She choreographed. I knew her when she was a student, and she choreographed as a student for my school show, and now she's just recently choreographed for an adult group for Yobbos. She's been everywhere.
Puts it about a bit, doesn't she?
She's only in her 20s and she's been everywhere. We won't tell her you called her that. Okay. So we're welcoming our wonderful choreographer, Amelia. Hello. Clap yourself. Yeah. She's very egotistical. Hello, Amelia.
Hello, Amelia.
First time on our podcast. Oh no, you were for the Yobbos thing.
Yes,
just remembered
a couple of times in the big group.
When we did the summer special, you spoke on there. Yes. So Amelia, tell us a little bit about sort of your involvement in theatre groups in general and amateur theatre and drama.
So I was more into like performing at the beginning, and then now I've kind of got into the choreographing side of it with Avocet.
Here.
Present. With Yobbos, Boss. I've done it for when I was at school. So yeah, just a range of abilities, a range of ages. But yeah, I did a lot of performing before, but now I still do some.
And you used to, before you sort of started doing musical theatre and things like that, you would sort of do dance classes and dance schools.
Yeah, so I originally did dancing at the beginning. So I did like ballet, tap, theatre, commercial, name it, I've most probably done it. Or tried to do it. I don't know how well I could have done it.
I tried to do the splits, love. Didn't work.
So you tried to do the splits and ended up with a crutch.
On my crutch, and then on a crutch.
Yeah, so I've done a range of dancing, and then when I was at secondary school age, I kind of got introduced to theatre, musical theatre, and being on stage and doing musicals.
Very good, and we're very, very lucky to have you. So, when you think about choreography, how do you set something that works for someone as rubbish at dancing as me and as good at dancing as you? Let's just do the extremes. Let's go for the extremes. And I mean when I'm mobile, not when I'm just sat in a chair with a crutch.
I would say, well, when we do the audition process, we also we ask for dance experience. So we can see what if people have done grade work or anything like that. But I don't really. Do you know what I do? In all honesty, I literally get up and I just dance, and I just see what works. And if I just think I want to include everyone, I just simply do basic stuff, but then just make the arms a bit bigger, maybe, or making the positioning look different so it looks simple but effective. And it's a challenge for some, and then it could be a lot easier for others, and because different abilities. But overall, it's just making sure that the end
impact on the stage,
end product on the stage looks effective to the audience.
And I think that's important, isn't it, about challenging? Like, you want to be able to challenge people's performances. We're just hearing, make sure nobody comes in the room. You want to be able to challenge people as well. You know, we do this because we enjoy it, but it's nice to have a bit of a challenge as well and try something new and step out your comfort zone. Obviously, I think with musical theatre, some people would say, "Oh, I'm maybe stronger at one, or stronger at a couple, weaker on one, or weaker on two." And often dancing, I think, for a lot of people is the thing. Toughest. So you've obviously choreographed for a few groups now. You recently choreographed a concert for Bamboo Operatic Society. Obviously you choreographed for ATC. Obviously different groups in terms of ages, in terms of ability and things like that. How do you find choreographing for sort of two separate groups with that sort of ability?
I'd say it's very different, because they're just the different mannerisms of children and then adults. They're all different, and what you get off of, like, the feedback of when you're doing classes, like when you, like, I'd say with a lot of the kids, they're very chatty, and it's good, it's enthusiasm, but I'd say with the adults, they listen maybe a bit easier, but do you know, it's just like the concentration levels, and it's really good to see, like, all the kids being enthusiastic and stuff, but yeah, no, it's really
so you allow
different.
a bit more time, do you, if you're doing a group of kids? Or
Yeah, definitely allow a little bit more time. But then sometimes they can be bang on focused.
I think it depends, doesn't it, on the group. You think Yobbos, who obviously we spoke to you about, who do it in a week, like they pick it up in a week.
I think it's because they know they've got that time pressure. Like we've only got a week, and you're like, oh yeah.
And they haven't got time to forget it either.
No, because I think it's because we do it all the time. But with rehearsals that are weekly, sometimes you see friends that you only see once a week. And you're like, it's getting that socialising aspect as well as learning everything, but yeah, it's definitely
the forgetting it thing's interesting, isn't it? So what kind of stuff do you do to try and help people not come back the next week and go, what?
Google Drive. That's literally been my saviour for like recent. I think before COVID, we didn't really do anything like that, did we?
We did for Elf. I think for Elf and Snow White actually. I think for ATC. I think when we did Snow White, I started introducing everyone to Google Drive and adding the recordings of videos, and then we did it. It worked really well. We did it for Alf, we did it for Robin Hood, and it has worked a dream. Yes, I did notice that you did it for Boss. You started using it as well.
Oh my god, it was my saving grace as well, because I was obviously doing Avocet as well as Boss at the same time. So I was like, literally just choreographing things, looking at my notes, thinking I have no idea what's on there, and just looking at a video is just so much.
Do you like on Strictly? Do you write weird things on a piece of paper and then look at it again and go, not sure what I mean?
Honestly, my show notes are just diabolical. Like I go through it and I'm just like, oh, no, I don't know. I'm like, next time you do it, if it happens again, then I'll tell you. If it doesn't happen, you're fine. But yeah.
So what's perhaps been like one of your favourite musical numbers to choreograph or shows to choreograph? What sort of really sticks out as something like, oh, I'm so proud of that, or I'm proud of that process, or whatever it is?
I would say Elf.
Yeah.
Because I think that was my first big musical of choreographing, and I think it was like, yeah, like Elf was one of the highlights for me because the kids were just so good. They picked up everything really well.
And there was a lot of them as well.
A lot. There was a lot of kids. But no, that was one of my... I think it's just because it was Christmas, like Christmas time, and it just... I was really happy throughout that whole process. Yeah, it was really, really good.
It was a good show. I've got a not controversial question. One that I think some people... So you know how I think... Some people think, oh, because I can act, I can definitely direct, and then they can't. What do you think when people sort of say, what do you think you need? Because I equally don't think that just because you're an amazing dancer doesn't mean you can choreograph.
No.
And I think actually a lot of professional dancers would admit that, but I think some people would go, well, I can dance, I can definitely choreograph. What do you think you need? If you're an amazing dancer, what do you need to make you a good choreographer?
Patience. That's one massive thing, but also like being able to adapt. Yeah. That's the biggest thing, because like sometimes, I admit it, I come into rehearsals sometimes and I teach choreography and I think, doesn't look what my vision is, and if, for example, if people don't feel comfortable doing something, or if they feel that, oh, I'd rather go on the other foot. It's being able to adapt and think on the spot. Yeah. Because a lot of the time when
choreography on the spot, on the spot. I've done that jingle before.
You did. You sang that last.
Well, that one. Choreography on the spot.
Well, I did it when we did the bodycut, because I was doing bodycut choreography off the top of my head. Right, do this.
So she added that jingle.
We had a little jingle.
See,
we can't escape it.
On the spot.
We can't escape it. Yeah, and I know, I agree with you, and I think it's just, it's the same with directing, isn't it? You have to have an overall vision for what I think should look like, whereas an actor or a dancer alone might be focusing on their performance, a director or a choreographer has to look at the bigger picture.
Massively.
And I think, and that's not an insult to anyone, just because you're an amazing dancer, I mean, you're amazing, because I equally know, and I've obviously choreographed things myself, I wouldn't call myself like, oh, I'm definitely a director over a choreographer. There's certain shows I wouldn't touch, because I'd be like, no, I'm not the right person. But I think I've got that more creative side, and I can see the overall picture. And there'll be cases, for example, with yourself, Amelia. Before lockdown, I was choreographing a show that you were in. You are definitely a much better dancer than me, but you trust that vision of the choreographer, and I know that's the same in the professional industry.
Massively.
There's some really well-known choreographers for some of the biggest shows in the world. If you look, without trying to judge a book by its cover, if you looked at them, you'd be like, wait, this is the choreographer? They do not look like a dancer. And actually they can't do some of the moves that they're asking them to do, like high kicks and splits and whatever.
Don't say splits.
Don't say splits. They can't do them themselves, but because they trust their performers, because they see that vision, they can create these amazing routines. Yeah. So I do think, those people that may be looking to choreograph or direct something, they need to think they've got those skills, not just am I a good dancer.
What have you not choreographed? That's not a word. That you would really, really like to have a crack at?
Well, like any show.
Any show,
Even if it's not available yet.
Oh my god, no, I don't think I've ever thought about that before.
Is there a style though? Is there like a style you'd like to do?
I would love to choreo. See, I've done little bits, because like in the Heights was like street dance, 42nd Street was tap. Yeah. I'd say more street, because I really enjoy mix of street and tap. If there is a musical, I don't think there is a musical street and tap, but
we'll write one.
That's our task.
With the drum lids and stomp. Drum lids.
Oh,
What's that musical with the drum lids?
With the drum lids. Oh, that little known show.
God, you two know what I'm talking about.
The bin lids. Yeah, no, that would be yeah.
Yeah, stomp. Oh, that's a great shout.
That'd be fun.
I didn't make the shout. I just said drum lids.
Drum
It wasn't
lids.
the right thing. I
Didn't even say the
drum
right
lids.
name.
Oh, God,
That
no.
famous musical
I'm not.
stomp.
I'm injured. That's when it's injured my brain as well.
You have injured your brain.
Oh, I'll tell you one actually.
Go on.
But I couldn't outdo it. Is Hamilton.
Oh yeah.
Like, how outstanding is the choreography in that? Like, nobody. I don't think anyone could top it. And what they've done on stage, but how fun would that be?
Yeah.
I love the choreography in Hamilton
And
because
also-
it's clever and symbolic.
Yeah.
Exactly, and also how it's the set and the movement around the set is part of it as
And
well.
it's-
It's all very visual.
It's
isn't
so
it?
simple, isn't it? If you actually look at the choreography, it's quite
Some of
simple.
it
It's
is.
literally just the move of the head,
Yeah.
or like the move of an arm. But it's just because, as you said, it's so simple, but looks effective
And everyone's doing it in time.
and everything like that. And it's the positioning on stage which makes it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Very nice indeed.
Well, it's been lovely speaking to you.
All things
Thanks
dance.
for having
Things
me.
done.
I mean, let's dance off apart from.
Yeah.
You can't dance, so you need to do armography.
Okay,
Crutch.
alright, I'll
Crutch.
go armography, you
You
two
do
keep
have-
your leg.
We're going to do like a full tap dance.
Yeah, obviously.
All right,
obviously.
right. Well, we will see you next week
Next
for another
week, More fun
episode.
and frolics.
Bye bye.
Bye-bye.
Armography, Jill, do the robot.
You always have to dance with a stick, don't you? Like that.